Define the Russian equivalent of the English idiom call it a day.
My back hurts so much. I'm so tired. I'm surrounded by boxes. Ugh.
It's okay. We'll just call it a day, won't we?
It's just so much work using hot hair tools and crazy-looking brushes. Or I could just throw it up into a bun and call it a day. Oh yeah, I'm a total genius.
They rarely call it a day after they clock out from work and enjoy immersing themselves with fun activities that boost their knowledge.
To decide or agree to stop doing something.
I've been here since 8 a.m., so I think it's time to call it a day.
Let's call it a day here and start our project again tomorrow morning.
Have you decided to call it a day? We haven't finished the project yet.
Идиома означает прекратить работать или делать что-то, потому что вы чувствуете, что сделали достаточно или больше не хотите продолжать.
Она часто используется для обозначения окончания рабочего дня или завершения какой-либо задачи.
Define the Russian equivalent of the English idiom no dice.
Do you want to use Strava to track your run instead of 1 plus health? Sorry, no dice here.
So that's another thing that was completely preventable, and in fact I can kick myself on this one because I knew that that bow was in there. I just hoped that during the clamping process we could straighten it out, but no dice.
And we named her before we found out she was a girl. She was shivering outside our front door 3 days ago. We waited for her mom to come back, but no dice. So we set up her little apartment here in the bathroom. Kiss?
Used to show that you refuse to do something, or that something cannot be done.
Can I borrow your car?
No dice.
I tried calling her and I tried 1 or 2 of her old friends in Hampstead, but there was no dice.
We tried to find a room at the hotel, but no dice. It was fully booked at this time of the year.
Идиома означает что-то невозможное или что-то, что не происходит. Часто используется, чтобы отказать в просьбе или указать на то, что что-то не получится. Может использоваться для выражения полного отрицания чего-либо.
Define the Russian equivalent of the English idiom on cloud 9.
He was amazing and he was in love with me. It was like being on cloud 9. It just felt like we had so much in common and I was just taken. I had found a guy that was beyond my wildest imagination.
It's January 21st, 2013, and I've just successfully defended my PhD in chemistry at Duke University to a room full of people. As you can imagine, I was pretty much on cloud 9 then.
Greg said thanks for the letter and let me know that he was working on a new film called The Blizzard of Oz. And he was happy with his skiers, but if he ever needed some more talent, that he'd keep me in mind. I was on cloud 9. It was the first time that I'd ever made a connection with one of my ski heroes.
Extremely happy. She has been on cloud 9 since she decided to get married last month.
Was Helen pleased about getting that job?
Pleased? She was on cloud 9.
My mother felt on cloud 9 when I scored the highest marks in the class.
Идиома означает быть чрезвычайно счастливым и взволнованным, используется для описания состояния эйфории или крайнего счастья.
Define the Russian equivalent of the English idiom break a leg.
I hope you guys are having a great day. I love you so much. Break a leg, and I will see you guys next time. Bye!
Thank you, David, for a most stimulating conversation, and break a leg with all your future projects and your film, television, fish concerts, and everything else.
So you might say, break a leg at your audition today. I'm sure you'll do great. Break a leg.
Used to wish somebody good luck, especially to an actor before they go on stage. When the team went out for the final race, the coach shouted out to them, "Break a leg."
Hope you break a leg at your concert tomorrow night.
You'll need to ask Mr. Thompson for permission. Break a leg with that.
Идиома используется для пожелания удачи перед важным событием, особенно в мире исполнительного искусства или перед прослушиванием.
Define the Russian equivalent of the English idiom pop one's clogs.
Most people are afraid of becoming a stereotypical crazy cat lady, but the most terrifying thing about this prospect is that, if you pop your clogs alone, your cat won't hesitate to eat you.
He didn't pop his clogs until he was the ripe old age of 79. Historians say he had a lavish funeral and was buried in the best part of the cemetery, becoming the first executioner ever to get that kind of VIP treatment in death.
So instead of to die, we say to pop one's clogs. You've popped your clogs.
To die.
A friend of mine is convinced he's going to pop his clogs whenever he feels the slightest bit unwell.
I'm afraid old Fred has finally popped his clogs.
Hospitals are full of CTD patients trying to have a chat with the Almighty before they pop their clogs.
Идиома означает умереть или перестать жить и имеет оттенок легкой иронии.
Define the Russian equivalent of the English idiom a dime a dozen.
Investors know that ideas are a dime a dozen, but execution is what really matters.
You could spend months in New York not being even noticed because you're a dime a dozen. Because bigger is not better.
Now we know that this story is played out around 100 billion suns. Now, some are larger than ours, and some are smaller, and some burn hotter and some burn colder. But in the Milky Way, planets are a dime a dozen.
Something that is very common and therefore easy to find or not valuable.
During apple season, apples around here go for a dime a dozen.
Smartphones are a dime a dozen, with almost too many models and brands to choose from.
This book offers a dime a dozen pieces of advice that can be found in any self-help publication.
Идиома используется для описания чего-то очень распространенного, имеющегося в изобилии и легко доступного, часто подразумевая, что этому не хватает ценности или уникальности.
Define the Russian equivalent of the English idiom beauty is only skin deep.
Many of the animals have been rescued from shelters and puppy mills, and the organisers hope the contest will raise awareness of adoption of any dog, no matter what they look like, as beauty is only skin deep.
I know what I said, and I know that beauty is only skin deep, but that ugly goes down to his crippled bones.
Did you just say crippled bones?
I'm sorry, I'm really stressed out, okay? But he has gotta be evil, right? I mean, he's probably gonna order a hobbit.
Yes, if looks could kill, a Chowsy would kill you like a mountain lion because that's what it looks like. But while beauty is only skin deep, this pretty kitty's similarity to a lion isn't. The Chowsy must eat meat. Full stop.
How a person looks is less important than their character.
Of course that gorgeous model didn't tip you. Beauty is only skin deep, after all.
The woman is not beautiful, but beauty is only skin deep and her personality is wonderful.
Remember, beauty is only skin deep. What matters most is who you are on the inside.
Идиома означает, что внешний вид человека не так важен, как его характер или индивидуальность, и что люди не должны судить о других исключительно по их внешности, а скорее по их поступкам и поведению.
Define the Russian equivalent of the English idiom cry over spilled milk.
And, you know, to have people that you work with not care as much and not act with that same kind of that professionalism and care to get things exactly right if at all possible. So then it begs the question, what are we going to do about it? Because, you know, you can't necessarily cry over spilt milk for too long.
So I can cry over spilled milk, or I can do what I need to do, and I'm going to do what I need to do.
For example, there's no need to cry over spilt milk. A very common idiom. There's no need to cry over spilled milk. There's no need to complete that form. We have all your information. There's no need to worry. They'll be fine. There's no need to worry. They'll be fine.
To waste time worrying about something that has happened that you cannot do anything about.
As the saying goes, it's no use crying over spilt milk.
It's no use crying over spilled milk. He spent all the money, and there's nothing you can do about it.
It's a waste of time crying over spilt milk, he says. You just have to move on with your life.
Идиома означает испытывать сожаление или грусть по поводу чего-то, что уже произошло и не может быть изменено, используется для того, чтобы подчеркнуть, что нет смысла расстраиваться из-за того, что это нельзя исправить.
Define the Russian equivalent of the English idiom between a rock and a hard place.
People that run their own businesses, they're between a rock and a hard place. If a patient comes in requesting a specific treatment or a specific test, and the doctor doesn't think it's in the patient's best interest, but the patient threatens them with a bad review, what are you left to do?
With respect to cancer and neurodegenerative diseases, we are actually between a rock and a hard place. Because it turns out that cancer cells and, in fact, those infectious organisms, as I just mentioned, are using their survival response to help kill us.
Imagine that a vendor doing business with USDA has offered your family tickets to a concert headlined by the latest teenage sensation. Do you take the tickets and make your 13-year-old daughter happy, but potentially feel obligated to the vendor for future purchases? Or do you refuse the tickets but then face an evening of teenage tears when you get home from work? It can feel like you are caught between a rock and a hard place.
In a difficult situation where you have to choose between two things, both of which are unpleasant.
The sailors got between a rock and a hard place trying to save the boat during the storm. You were really between a rock and a hard place when you had to choose between your career and your relationship.
When the food ran out, they were stuck between a rock and a hard place, starve or eat the dead bodies of their friends.
Идиома используется для описания ситуации, когда кто-то сталкивается с двумя трудными или неприятными выборами или обстоятельствами и должен принять сложное решение.
Define the Russian equivalent of the English idiom when pigs fly.
It's always possible that something might work, pigs might fly, the sun might not come up, and it's also the case that we in traditional neurology are wide open to treatments that seem to come out of left field.
In fact, the idea of a mule, the hybrid progeny of a female horse and a male donkey, having its own baby is so implausible that the ancient Romans used to employ the saying, when a mule foals, as a metaphor for the impossible. The same way that Americans say, when pigs fly, Turkish people say, when fish climb trees, and Nigerians say, when the chicken has teeth.
If I weren't worried about a copyright strike, I would have that clip from The Simpsons where Mr. Burns says he'll donate $1 million to charity when pigs fly.
Used to show that you do not believe something will ever happen.
I asked my boss if I could go on a 2-month vacation. He said yes, when pigs fly.
John asked Sarah whether she would go to the movies with him. Sarah replied that would happen when pigs fly.
I might make a start on papering the back bedroom tomorrow.
Yes, and pigs might fly.
Идиома означает, что какое-либо действие или событие, либо вообще никогда не произойдет, либо это слишком маловероятно. Часто используется саркастически, чтобы выразить недоверие или насмехаться над чрезмерными амбициями.